Hey, I'm Jay Kumar, the BassBlaster, and this is your Abu Garcia REVO top tips, techniques, and trends of the month. Number 1. Now, I'm not sure this is a trend yet, but it could become one on lakes with smallmouth bass. I'm talking about fishing for spawning smallmouths. Now, as you probably know, smallmouth spawn deeper than the greenfish do. Their spawning locations aren't exactly secret, and in those ultra clear northern lakes, you can actually sight fish for them. But what about water that isn't super clear? Now, you'd still know their historic spawning areas, but you couldn't sight fish for them. That is until forward-facing sonar. And that's exactly what went down on the recent MLF Invitational Tournament on Kentucky Lake. Everyone in the hunt was fishing for spawning smallmouths in deeper water using forward-facing sonar and finesse techniques. Winner Andrew Nordby was doing it with a Damiki rig and a Ned rig. Dakota Ebear, who came in second by just 3 ounces, was doing the same deal but with his favorite Strike King Baby Z2. Same deal for Colby Miller in third, Alec Morrison in fourth, and so on down the line. One unusual thing to note was one of Alec's rigs was a drop shot rigged with one of those OSP rubber dice. Bet we'll be seeing more of those types of baits thanks to Jimmy.
Come on, Jimmy. What are you doing back on Earth?
Whoa, hey, this is Earth?
Well, Jimmy brought us forward-facing sonar and rubber dice. Guess we gotta hit up the Men in Black to see what's coming next. Number 2. Is Europe's forward-facing sonar situation coming here? Maybe, partly. I recently talked to a guy named Renaud Theus. Hope I got that pronunciation right, man. His company is Providence Angler, and it is bringing some French baits over here to the US under the Digital Squad fishing brand. Real interesting conversation about what's been going on in Europe with forward-facing sonar and how some of that might come over here to the United States. He said that depth finders didn't become legal in Europe until about 20 years ago, and after that, fishermen went bananas fishing offshore. But that's pretty much all they've been doing anyway. They don't have many bass lakes over there, so apparently beating the banks is not a thing. Man, that sounds pretty miserable. Then forward-facing sonar came out, and Renaud said, "It has been very good for sales of electronics, but not so much for tackle. Essentially, you need a good selection of jig heads, some swim baits, and that's it." Now, will that happen here? Well, it's kind of already happening in a way, but I doubt it'll be super bad or whatever because we do have a lot of bass fisheries and we do beat the banks. Plus, for most of us, that's our bass fishing heritage, not fishing out deep. He also said that when most European fishermen see fish on forward-facing sonar, they, quote, do nothing, they just hold the bait. Sounds like what we call tight lining. Just keeping the bait at a certain depth and letting the current down there move it. Maybe jiggling it a little bit here and there. Get more details about our conversation at bassblaster.rocks, but what I got from it basically is that the Damiki rig can take over fast anywhere. And there's no way the US will end up like Europe because we're bank beaters, man.
Oh, excuse me, Your Majesty. The beaters are approaching.
You got that right, Jeeves. Number 3. Okay, just a quick deal here. With the whole forward-facing sonar phenomenon, some people in the bass and biz are talking about certain categories of bait sales being down. Well, maybe. Couple perspectives real quick. One is that hard bait sales are down because Damiki rig stuff like small jig heads and small fluke style baits and other finesse stuff, sales of those things are up. Obviously that means fishermen are buying that stuff because that stuff is hot, people are talking about it, pros are winning tournaments with it. Okay, no surprise there, right? But another perspective on this whole deal shared with me by someone in the bait business is kind of the flip side of that coin.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Now the flip side is that a lot of fishermen are buying that Damiki stuff simply because they never carried it before. In other words, they're stocking up on it, and with limited dollars to spend, that's getting the attention right now. Meaning they're not buying other types of baits. I mean, look at what Denny Brower, one of the greatest flippers of all time, recently posted on his Instagram. My man Austin was like,
That really hurt.
yes, it did, Denny. In other words, it's not that guys aren't fishing other types of baits, because they are, including on the pro level. It's just that now they need to have an arsenal of all that Damiki stuff, whereas before they didn't. That's just a quick 2 cents for you. Number 4. Are we about to have a jig color revolution? Looks like a lot of guys are ready for it, myself included. And I'm here to tell you, it's already started. Now, you might like green pumpkin and black and blue, and that's cool because of course those colors catch them. But how many generations of fish have never seen another color like? How about bone, like this special edition color of the Booyah Mobster swim jig that was available on lurenet.com? I mean, bone works great in other baits, so. Now, anyone else besides me think that yellow, not chartreuse, just straight up yellow, is one of the most underutilized colors in bass fishing? Now check this same Booyah Mobster swim jig in black and yellow, a color combo I happen to love. Now, when Berkley came out with a new jig series last year, it tweaked some well-known colors and came out with a few new ones like Fire Craw, which of course works great on bladed jigs, and how about Junebug? It's a staple worm color, but to my knowledge, the folks really pushing the jig color palette right now are ARC. Notably, they're pros who are designing those colors, like Randall Tharp, who's known as far as Mars and even Saturn and Jupiter as a jig fisherman. He's a big believer in gold accents in his skirts for more bites. Not sure if you can see it in this pic of Golden Craw, but that's basically green pumpkin with a little orange in there and some gold flake. And this color, Old School Brown, has gold in it too. Then for the full gold member treatment, check out this Goldilocks color of ARC's West Logan swim jig.
I love gold.
Yes, he does, but he's pushing in other color areas too, like check out this color called Logan's Luck. Dang, that does look lucky. And how about going the other way with this color, Black Crappie or Crappie? Man, I always thought Wes was a normal cat, but now? Just messing, man. All right, one more is now that Stanley Jigs got bought by GSM Outdoors, maybe we'll see a revival of Stanley's amazing skirt colors like Rainbow Bream or Bream and Junebug Chartreuse. I also hear through the grapevine that we're about to see some newer and older materials being worked together from some truly different skirts. Let's see what happens, man. Number 5. You ever hear of split rings made out of braided line? It's been around for a while, first on the way down low, and then even when it got out, a lot of guys were keeping it quiet. But now it's out again after John Garrett won the recent Bassmaster Elite on the Harris chain. He mentioned using double split rings and braided split rings, if you will, on his crankbaits to help him stop losing so many fish. Why? Yep, they jump. And as we all know, if they don't get the hooks really good or they get leverage with the bait, they're gone. But that's a lot harder for the fish to do with braided split rings or braided trebles, whatever you want to call it. Here's Major League Fishing pro Mark Davis talking about it.
You get a fish hooked up here, that split ring, it's not only going to let that hook turn so far, and that's when you lose a fish. When that hook gets twisted, they get leverage and they come off, okay? But when it's braided, that hook can, now watch this. See, I have to go all the way around, then I have to come back, go all the way around again. It's really hard for a fish to get leverage and throw a hook that's braided as opposed to a split ring.
Yep, that's the main benefit, but here's Major League Fishing pro Ott Defo, who's a huge crankbait fisherman, giving another sneaky little benefit.
Something that honestly to me means as much in my line of fishing as anything is the fact that it actually makes the bait more quiet. In those big swim baits, they don't get a whole bunch of hook noise from split rings and stuff. But I think it's something like a crankbait and just how pressured our fisheries are anymore. And a crankbait with split rings makes a lot of noise.
Hey, I'm no Ott Defo, but I like very quiet crankbaits too. Now these braided split rings are either a pain in the rear to tie or not too hard. Ott shows how to do it in his YouTube video. And of course it doesn't look too bad because he's probably done it a million times. But the bottom line is, I guess, do it before you leave the house. Now, it might be a lot easier just to roll with double split rings. Not as good as the braided deal, but better than one split ring if you're losing fish. And by the way, those baits are the new Bill Lewis hammer trap in Rayburn Red and the Ott designed Rapala OG Slim 6 in copper green shad. Now, if you're cranking out there and are like, this trick just might help you stay alive, man. That's all I got for you this month. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Abu Garcia REVO. See you next month with the latest tips, techniques, and trends. God bless you.